Okay, the screencast is going to cover Chapter 5, Lesson 1 and 2, so this will be 5.1 and 5.2 in the Dreamweaver Revealed series. We're going to start by opening PS5-1.psd, picture of a little boy with a basketball and a white background. First thing we're going to do is, since I don't want to ruin this original copy, so we're going to do a Command-Shift-S to File Save As, and we're going to save this in our classwork folder as basketball star.psd. Click OK. Alright, so now we have a copy of the PSD. So we're going to talk a little bit about these next lessons about colors and how to change to get different colors on your screen. Some of them you've already figured out, some of you might not know. So let's go through just some default colors. So if you look over at your color picker right now, you might have some colors that you worked with on your last document. If you just want to revert back to default, you can just click this button here. That will change back to default foreground and background. You can use this arrow to switch between the two, but that is how you get back to default foreground and background. Make sure your ruler's on and make sure your ruler's displaying in pixels, which mine is. Okay, and then let's go to the background layer. And if you open this document and you're in some sort of weird workspace, which is up here in the right hand corner, let's change it back to the Essentials workspace. This way you can see your Histories palette, you can see your color, your swatches, etc. Alright, now let's work with a different way of changing colors. You guys have all probably noticed that you have a color panel up here in the top right corner. You have foreground, background color, you have sliders here so you can change your color. Probably one of the easier ways is to click on the actual foreground color, and you can change your color by means of sliding around here and sliding vertically. Let's find ourselves, like a light blue. Let's get ourselves like a light blue. Okay, so we've got light blue, click OK. You have to be on the background color for this one. And let's go over to the paint bucket. And while we're on the paint bucket, let's go ahead and just click the background. And our background is now filled behind the kid. Now another way of doing that, I'm going to do a Command-Z to undo. Another way, let's say that this color here, what you're trying to do is really, get a blue that pops out. You're trying to match the blue on his shoes. But we didn't get very close. It's pretty hard to get that pretty close. So one way you can get exactly the same color is if you come up over here on the toolbar, right underneath crop, you have an eyedropper tool. We're just going to use the standard eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool is a way that you can hover over an area and click, and you get a sample. You can see by the new coloring that they put in. You get a sample of the color, and it puts it in the actual color picker. So with that color picker on there now, I'm going to go to the paint bucket. Now I'm going to paint this in. Oh, let me repick my color. Now I'm going to paint this in, and I get the exact same color that his shoes are, making sure that I'm on the background layer. Nothing too bad. Let's look at using the color picker dialog box. So I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to Command-Z to undo that, or I'm going to use my Histories palette to slide back just so it's the white background. Something else we can do, pull up your color picker, and you'll notice your color picker, you have an eyedropper that you can click all over this kit and get those colors. So you can always use an eyedropper without the color picker open, but if you have the color picker open, it's automatically an eyedropper if you drag off of the screen. Okay. Something we can do, let's pick the color in his shoe again. Something we can do is we can change our mode. Right now we're in HSB mode. If you want to go to RGB mode, you get a different look, a different gradient of your coloring. As you slide around, it's basically the reverse of the HSB. I kind of prefer to work in HSB, but RGB is a possibility there. I'm going to go back to HSB, and I'm going to go to, kind of like a yellow. So I'm going to just pick like a yellow. If I switch that to RGB, notice how it keeps me in the yellow area, but just gives me a different look on how I can actually select from the colors. Okay, with that selected, let's click OK, and paint bucket, and boom, color. That yellow is probably not the best yellow that I use, but it works. Now, let's say we wanted to pull, let's use the eyedropper tool again. Let's say we wanted to pull off this little green tree. So I'm going to hover on the green tree and I'm going to click, I'm going to verify my color picker that I've got that green color saved. Let's say that I like using this green all the time for a lot of projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the Swatches Palette. The Swatches Palette have lots of ways of getting colors, that I might not be choosing from a slider. But if I like this green and want to keep it, I can come over here and I can just click. Let me run that back. You just click in the gray area and it's going to come up with a little box that says, what do you want to name this color swatch? So I'm going to call this one Green Palm. So I remember it's from the palm tree. So now when I pick colors, I can actually use colors that I've created by pulling them out of individual pieces. So if you find a color you really, really like, hang on to it by leaving it in your Swatches palette. Now if you want to remove a color from the Swatches palette, hold down Alt, and then click, and it will remove Green Palm from the area. And then just click to add it. That's how you add and subtract things from your color Swatches palette. All right, that concludes 5.1 and 2. We'll continue more with 5.3.